Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Critical Weight Theory. And today I've got a bit of a steady, reflective, even if somber episode. So, we like to believe our systems work, that justice is blind, democracy is fair, and truth has a fighting chance. But what if the failures we see every day aren't just isolated? What if they're signs of something deeper, cracks in the very structure of power? So, today I'm talking about the slow erosion of checks and balances, the invisible recession of accountability that's reshaping how our institutions work and who they really serve. Well, it's not quite as invisible as it used to be in many cases, but still it's often something that you don't see right away. So let's start with a phrase we don't hear often enough, even though we sort of still hear it all the time: fundamental fairness. It's supposed to be the foundation of justice. The idea that no matter who you are, rich or poor, connected or not, the system treats you the same. Now, I know some of you are already scoffing at the idea, but take a closer look at our judicial system anyway, that so called last bastion of justice, and you'll see something else entirely in a lot of cases. Those with wealth and power can buy better representation, more time, and quite often, better outcomes. And the poor, well, they're left to navigate a maze of paperwork, procedure, and prejudice, often basically alone. And a report from the Center for American Progress put it plainly: there's a need to provide or a need to provide equal access to the system of justice in our nation. Very plainly spoken, but that access quite often isn't there, especially not adequately. And when justice becomes a privilege rather than a right, the whole idea of liberty starts to feel hollow. It's the same story in another arena: the media. Once hailed as democracy's fourth pillar, it's become, in many cases, a carefully managed echo chamber and practically nothing more. A handful of corporations control what most of us read, watch, and hear, and that kind of concentration of power doesn't just shape headlines, it shapes perception. Voices that challenge the mainstream narrative are often sidelined, while those who reinforce it get the prime slots. It's too often not actual journalism, it's choreography. And when truth itself starts to feel curated, the public's trust more easily unravels. We've seen what happens when misinformation and disinformation become a political tool. The big lie from the orange idiot did not just come out of nowhere, it was built, funded, and widely broadcast. And that's partly why you can hear that low hum of tension still throughout the country. But it's not just top down power that fails. Even non hierarchical grassroots movements, they struggle under the same weight. When they fall apart, it's rarely from lack of vision, it's from lack of support. Entrenched interests, limited resources, burnout. The odds are stacked against those trying to change the system from the outside. Still, these smaller failures don't erase their importance. They remind us that democracy doesn't just live in institutions, it lives in people, communities, and the choices we make to stay engaged, even when the system feels rigged. And where does that leave us? Am I just trying to be all doom and gloom here? Well, we're left in a very familiar place, facing many of the same old issues that have been there for basically time, you know, before time. As W.E.B. Du Bois wrote regarding a very specific group of people, he said the Negro death rate and sickness are largely matters of social and economic condition, not racial traits or tendencies. End quote. Now, again, that's about a specific group of people he was talking about, but we can extrapolate that not just to be about the health and well-being of one group. He was describing a truth that potentially spans across systems. The outcomes we see are not accidents of fate, they're products of structure. And if the structure is unequal, so will be the results. Now, I do want to have a little bit more of a hopeful tone here. We can't afford to keep mistaking the illusion of democracy for the real thing. If we want a society that truly reflects the values that it claims to cherish, like liberty, justice, equality, and all that stuff, then we have to rebuild trust in our institutions in a relatively meaningful and healthy way. That means real transparency, real accountability, and a genuine effort to empower people, not just pacify them with rhetoric. Because democracy doesn't just die in darkness, it erodes in daylight when we stop paying attention. So, this has been the Illusion of Balance episode. And again, my name is Wade. I don't think I said that at the introduction, but it is the name of my podcast, so maybe you already could have guessed that. But thanks for listening anyway, even though I don't know if I said anything particularly new or innovative in this episode. It kind of feels like I'm saying a lot of things that a lot of people have already heard, maybe just recycling the words around. And, you know, I suppose that could be a critique of this episode. But every once in a while, I do like to do sort of a meat and potatoes style episode to sort of just remind people where we're at and maybe where we could be headed.